So let me get this straight. Trump banned Muslims, caged black and brown kids, and called Haiti a shithole, but somehow he's rolling out the carpet for white South Africans, who, mind you, claim they're being oppressed by the very people that they oppressed for generations. This is not refugee policy. It's plantation nostalgia dressed up as immigration reform. This entire push to rescue South African farmers is built on a narrative, not facts. Yeah, there's some violence in South Africa. Yeah, some white farmers have been attacked. But the majority of the victims, they're not white. And the attacks aren't racially targeted. They're part of a broader crime crisis. South Africa has deep issues, yes. But this ain't some ethnic cleansing of white people. This lie got amplified by conservative media, white nationalist forums, and people who think land redistribution is oppression, when really it's just justice knocking on the door. So let's be honest about what this really is. It's America offering comfort to people who feel uncomfortable with equality. That's it. Because these so-called refugees are being fast-tracked for protection. Black asylum seekers from war-torn nations are being detained, deported, and ignored. They're not being offered farms and safety. They're being offered ICE and silence. This has never been about safety. It's about whiteness being treated like it's in danger anytime it's not in power. But here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to let people run from the consequences of apartheid, land here, and act like they're victims of a woke world gone mad. No. You don't get to gentrify racial trauma across borders. You don't get to weaponize your discomfort with progress and call it persecution. And if you're feeling displaced by land reform, good, because the land wasn't yours to begin with. So if you think Trump's weak attempt to play savior gives you the green light to come over here and start disrespecting people, think again, because the rest of us, we don't play like that. Go find you something safe to do, because bringing apartheid to a new zip code is the fastest way to find out this ain't the America you thought you were walking into. Stay safe.
South African whites scared they're gonna get massacred, so they seeking a refugee status here in America. I'm like, you know what you could do in South Africa to keep yourself safe, white South Africans? Share that goddamn stolen wealth. Oh, this colonizer logic is exhausting, bro. This constant playing the victim, that way they project playing the victim onto their very real victims is just tiring. Can't tell me nothing about South Africa. That was the first place I ever rest my head to sleep on the African continent. It was Cape Town, the whitest place in South Africa in 2014. I went down there for the Jazz Festival. And let me tell you something. The wealth disparity is so extreme. It just flies in the face of the propaganda of the Rainbow Nation. And the black folks there have had enough of it. So they have policies there to spread that wealth back to black folks because it was stolen from black folks based on race. Now that white South Africans is in the ear of Trump, white South Africans like Elon Musk and the one that nobody talks about, Peter Thiel, born, raised, fed, and bred on Nazi propaganda, are doing things that only Nazis would do. And of course, they're simpatico because America and South Africa are both settler colonial nations, so the people who benefit from it have a similar mindset. But when I went to South Africa, I found a key psychological difference between the American white man and the South African white man. And that is that the South African white man could never really sink into the illusion that all of this was his. In America, the white man can drive from sea to shining sea, especially out here in the West, turn on some country music and fantasize that all of this is his own birthright. But in South Africa, the indigenous people are still 90% and they understand that they are outnumbered and they have to play the game differently. And this colonizer logic is exemplified, and a lot of people don't know about this in America, but the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in South Africa, where it was pulling tiger teeth from a live saber tooth to get these white folks to admit with words that racism had happened, that an injustice was done based on color, and that something needed to be done about it. And just reconciling it, saying it verbally, took so much energy that it took all the juice out of now dispersing the wealth. People saying that this is the last kick of the dying mule of white supremacy, but always remember, the last kick of the mule is always the hardest. A lot of people forget that during the Holocaust, most of the victims that were executed in Auschwitz got after the Germans knew that they were going to lose, so they turned up the temperature. And the same thing is going to happen here. When they know that they're on their way out, they're going to ride the hardest, and you got to be prepared for that. But it ain't nothing that we as a people can't handle. We know that. That's why we're not scared. But the thing that I want you to remember is that the universe is on your side. And what is it telling these people? That colonizers, it's time for you to find a new hustle. I said this on the Kim Iverson show, and I'm going to say it now. It's time to find a new hustle. This extractive parasitic model is dead. It don't help the whole human race evolve, and it don't help you evolve. It's keeping you weak. It's keeping you afraid. It's keeping you in the worst possible version of yourself. You need to let it go so you can evolve. You got this white supremacist mindset, and you see that the whole universe is ripping this out of your hands, and if you don't want to let it go, you will suffer. And if you want to keep on playing with us, we're going to laugh as we watch around and find out. Holla back.
What does it mean when men that grew up during apartheid now play a powerful role in the U.S.?
Who are the PayPal mafia, and how are they linked to apartheid-era South Africa?
Let's talk about how global white supremacy travels and who it empowers. This isn't just about where they're from. It's about how their background shaped their views and how that continues to shape their influence in the US today. These are the stories of some of the most influential men in the US, both tech and politics, how their childhood during apartheid in South Africa tie into the current political climate in the US. Let's start with Elon Musk.
I think the way to think of me is like I'm a technologist, and I try to make technologies that improve the world and make life better.
Your shirt.
Yeah, and that's why I like my T-shirt says tech support, because I'm here to provide the president with technology support.
He lived in apartheid South Africa until he was about 17 years old and then moved to Canada and then the US. He now leads some of the world's most powerful companies like Tesla and SpaceX. Musk's ties to South Africa and his upbringing in a deeply segregated society have been a point of interest.
Musk himself, who was born in South Africa and lived there, went to high school there until he was 18. Musk's grandfather, Canadian grandfather, had been the head of the Canadian branch of a political movement in the 1930s called Technocracy Incorporated, which in essence wanted to scrap democracy in the United States and Canada and have technocrats rule the country.
Especially when you take into consideration how he navigates his position in the US, supporting conservative policies, aligning with certain elements of Trump's agenda. And there's David Sachs.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're all here today because of your leadership, your vision, and your generosity, and I really want to thank you for that. We're also here because of your desire to make America great and to introduce a golden age in America, including for digital assets.
He left when he was about 5, but his family settled in Tennessee. Today, he's a venture capitalist and one of Trump's key fundraisers. He's been a vocal supporter of Trump, contributing to his campaign and amplifying right-wing causes in the tech world. His position in Silicon Valley allowed him to hold significant influence over the flow of tech dollars and political support. Then there's Peter Thiel, or Peter Thiel.
Essentially, you have one man, Peter Thiel, who could literally control the president. There is something Peter Thiel will never hear from a vice president or potentially a President Vance. Something he will never hear is no.
Thiel's early years were spent in Namibia and South Africa, where his father worked in uranium mining for the apartheid regime. Thiel is the co-founder of PayPal and became one of Trump's most prominent supporters in Silicon Valley. He was an early donor in Trump's campaign and has been outspoken about Trump's America First policies. Thiel's influence in the tech industry and his alignment with Trump underscores the lasting effects of apartheid South Africa. So why does this matter? These men didn't just come from South Africa. They were shaped by it. They grew up in a system that normalized racial hierarchy, exclusion, and the erosion of basic human rights. Now, as powerful figures in the US, their views on race, power, and governance is deeply influential. And their support for Trump? Well, it's not just a coincidence. It aligns with a larger pattern of reinforcing power systems that benefit the elite, often at the expense of marginalized groups.
This video is for the White Afrikaners who are coming to the United States. I think you've already landed here. And I know that some of the folks who met you at the airport told you, welcome, we're so glad you're here. Most of us aren't glad you're here, okay? We don't want you here. We never wanted you here. And furthermore, I noticed they're gonna settle you in Idaho, Ohio, and North Carolina. I will tell you they're not our finest states, so they're a good fit for you. I understand that many of you are farmers, and I've seen a lot of people say, oh, that's great, we need more farmers. Sorry to say we don't. We actually need farm workers because we've deported most of them. So if you can, put your picking hat on and think about, picking produce, that's largely probably what you're going to be doing here because I hear you don't have a lot of skills. I would also say that you're not going to have to hold just one job, but probably 2 or 3. to make up for your quality of life that you had back in South Africa. There will be no servants working for $2 a day. There's none of that here. So you're the servant who's working for $2 a day. So enjoy that. You're gonna have to pay for your health care, and ordinarily, because you're a refugee who's being discriminated against, you would go on Medicaid. But guess what? The Republicans just cut Medicaid. So I don't think you're going to have that option for healthcare. So maybe you'll do without. I don't know. And honestly, I don't care.
So it's been reported that Elon Musk's AI chat Grok is now spreading aggressively this contentious claims of a supposed white genocide that's happening in South Africa, although there's no evidence that supports that, and it just so happens to be where Elon Musk was born and raised. Now, the information that I'm going to be, relaying to you guys is coming from an article found on therollingstones.com. But apparently, no matter the conversation, Grok is going to interrupt or change the subject to aggressively talk about this white genocide that South Africa has actually spoken out against and stated that there's no evidence supporting that at all. Now, if you remember, these are the same claims that the Trump administration used to basically tell the public or us American citizens on why they've decided to open up America to these Afrikaan refugees. And again, I use the word refugee loosely. This is me reading directly from the article. Musk himself has often suggested without evidence that white people in the country of South Africa are the victims of racially targeted campaign of violence. Through the nation's president and courts have respectively dismissed this idea as false narratives and clearly imagined. We're talking about a group of people that basically make less than 10% of South Africa's population, yet own over or close to 70% of its land, of private land. I don't understand how you guys are the victims. You're the oppressors. So this is me still reading from the article. So a user tagged Grok in replies to ask, is this accurate? Instead of addressing the sports inquiry, the bot returned a lengthy response about South African politics. This is in quotations. The claims of white genocide in South Africa is highly debated, the model answered. Some argue white farmers face disproportionate violence within groups like AfriForums, reporting high murder rates and citing racial motives, such as Kill the Boer song. The funny thing about it is, Grok, the AI that's supposedly supposed to be one of the smartest, could not actually provide any actual evidence that this is happening about this South African genocide or this white genocide, because there isn't any. The acknowledged that South African courts and officials, including a 2025 ruling, have called this narrative imagined, stating that farm attacks are a part of general crime affecting all races, and it's not racially targeting. However, Grok went on to add, I'm skeptical of both sides. Elon Musk is South African. Elon Musk was born and raised in South Africa. Elon Musk is the owner of this AI chat. Elon Musk has already been shown to trying to manipulate or change public opinion so that whatever he's doing, he's able to get away with more undetected, or try to get, his people in here so that they can, repopulate, because I know that the white population right now is a little bit scared about becoming the minority here in America. So you guys are taking out the blacks, the browns, the yellows, and you're bringing in these Afrikaans, hoping that they can repopulate and help grow the population that the white women here don't want to add on to, okay? Because why? With what government, with what help, with what assistance? So you're getting these people to come in here and do that for you. Bet.
Did you guys see this? The South African president, Cyril Ramaphosa, he gave his thoughts on the 49 Afrikaners that came to the U.S. Listen.
It's a group of South Africans who are demonstrating that the changes and transformation that we are embarking upon here, they are not favorably disposed to it, and that's why they are running away. So as South Africans, we are resilient. We don't run away from our problems. and we shouldn't run away from our problems. And if you look at all national groups in our country, black and white, we've stayed in this country because it's our country and we must not run away from our problems. We must stay here and solve our problems. So when you run away, you're a coward. And that's a real cowardly act. And I expect every South African to stay here and we work together and we solve our problems. We've got the most beautiful country in the world. And I can bet you they will be back soon because there's no country like South Africa. Thank you.
What do you guys think about this? He said that they did not embrace change. Instead, they were running away. He called them cowards, and he even bet that they will return. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below.
This video is for Trump supporters. And if you're not a Trump supporter, you should probably stay because I have a feeling you're wondering the same thing. I want at least one of you to please, pretty please, with cherry on top, stitch, duet, make a video and tag me, comment, send smoke signals or carrier pigeon, I don't care. But I want one of you to explain to me in detail, with at least one source that's not Fox or Facebook, how this is putting America first and how this is saving the United States money. My prediction is that I will not have a single stitch duet tag and that it will only be private or anonymous accounts commenting. I look forward to the lesson.
The principle is fulfilling prophecy as we know it. This is not a game. Now, the principal, he spoke to those gathered at the U.S. Saudi Investment Forum a few days ago. If you know, then you know he has been in the Middle East, and then he was leaving there going to Turkey, which Turkey, Gog and Magog, catch it. The U.S. and Saudi Investment Forum, what it is this serves as a meeting place for the world's rich and powerful. The people that was with them was number one, Elante. I'm not going to say everybody, but just some important pieces. Elante and David Sachs, which David Sachs is his AI and crypto advisor, and they all spoke at this event. This information spiked my attention for so many reasons. Number one, the principal cites that $600 billion in Saudi deals, and it also included a commitment from the Saudi company Data Vault to move forward with plans to invest $20 billion in AI data centers and energy infrastructure in the US. This is very key. We're talking about the AI data centers. Now, just so you know, a lot of your Fortune 500 companies have moved all of their technology to AI. And I know this for a fact. My daughters actually work at a company that moved everything to AI. And this is a major company. I will not say the company, but it is a major company. It is 145 deals that were signed, totaling more than $300 billion. He also began to speak about peace, safety, humanity, opportunity, and achievement and innovation he wants to bring to Saudi Arabia and to the Middle East. Go with me. Thessalonians 5:3, while people are saying peace and safety, destruction will come on them suddenly as labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. I want to bring your attention to one more thing. David Sachs, he spoke and he posed a question. He stated, how do we win the AI race? Mr. Sachs gave the answer. He said the answer is that we have to build the biggest partner ecosystem. We need our friends like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and others to be strategic partners to want to build on our tech. You know, then you know, the tech is going to be key moving forward. And when we say tech, we have to understand the system, the beast system that is coming, okay? Not just the beast system, but the 1G, okay? And we have to understand that this is a setup. Things are falling in place. Not only that, the prophetic dream that I had concerning the Mahdi, it has to be infiltrated by a country that believes in a specific thing. I'm saying specific words for a reason. This is where the beast system is getting ready to be created. They've already have been trying to build these different ecosystems, and it has been, they just needed the backing, they needed the funding. This is not a good thing, and those who decided to think that the principal had your best interest at heart, we knew, and I said he's going to lead us right in to the end of times, and this is what we are seeing even now. It is here. The structure is being laid out. If y'all can't see Bible prophecy happening, I don't know what to tell you. This man got up there and said, peace and safety, and kept saying it. Man of God, do you know the Bible? This doesn't scare you. If this doesn't give you red flags, understanding what this man's position is, the principal's position, I don't know what to tell you. You're not in the spirit. There's no possible way. You don't want to see it. You are not in the spirit. He's literally leading us right into it. He's paving the way for it to step on the stage. That's it.
You might look at this man's tie and think, wow.
Are making sure that refugees did not pose any challenge to our national security and that they could be assimilated easily into our country.
That's a choice. And I think it was a choice. It was a deliberate choice. Okay, so we can all agree that the tie is ugly. And I think it's a shout out to the refugees from South Africa, because doesn't this tie look a lot like the old flag from South Africa? You know, the one that they used during apartheid? To me, it seems kind of like the way we might view a Confederate flag. I could be wrong. I'm not an expert on South Africa, but I think this tie was a deliberate choice. If you're from South Africa and you are familiar with what this flag represents, can you tell me, am I incorrect? Because this can't just be an ugly tie, right? This was a choice. I really feel like this was a choice. He was saying to those refugees, like, right? Apartheid, yeah. That was a good time. If only we weren't being held accountable for our actions.
I wanted to welcome all the newcomers to my page. I also wanted to do a special welcome to the Americans. I see that my video on the White Afrikaans refugee program did make it to the American side of TikTok. I just wanted to clarify a few things around the so-called refugees. First of all, not all of those refugees are actually Afrikaans speakers. I have found out that there are family members that were shocked to see their family members getting off the plane in America that are not Afrikaans. Secondly, I wanted to mention that Afrikaans is a language spoken in South Africa. It's the third most spoken language in South Africa, and the majority of speakers are not white. Okay, the next thing that I wanted to mention is that our government, South Africa, have highlighted that they haven't gone through a proper background check of these individuals. However, this didn't seem to be a problem because there is an American that is involved in assisting what they call themselves the Amerikaners, these people with their refugee process. Here is a video with him in. He's talking to one of the refugees.
No, you don't need a police clearance.
No, that's a South African thing.
Yeah,
I told people they didn't need that.
They're wasting their
Time and money.
Yes.
And also tipping people off that might be interested in the program.
I mean, who better than the United States to do a background check on you? Come on now.
Well, we will do background checks and things that you know about the background, but we're not going to take a certificate from police in the country. We'll do the checks ourselves.
Because,
Yes, we know that happens. I'm not saying South Africa, but that happens in countries in general. And so we deal with that. So also people ask me a lot of questions.
The problem with not doing background checks is that you didn't do a background check on their story. So the so-called refugee that the American is speaking to said that she was the owner of a guest farm in the Van Rieenen area in South Africa, and she had survived 4 farm attacks. Now, I'm not questioning the survival of farm attacks, because as I explained in my previous video, when I actually made a video about this, is that a farm attack is a crime that takes place on a farm or a small holding. It is not related to who experienced the crime, it's related to where it took place. The issue though, is people in South Africa have started doing background checks. This lady doesn't own a farm. The farm that she said that she has now put in the market is owned, ironically, by 3 black people in South Africa. So she doesn't own a farm. And I found it strange when I was reading the article. I first thought, it must have been a terrible attack because, or what she experienced, because she said, if she doesn't sell it, she doesn't sell it. She's just going. She has to go. Okay, she's not the owner of that farm. Another so-called refugee was also found to have anti-Semitic posts, but also a number of other problematic views online. Now, I know being a racist wouldn't have been a problem, but it has been uncovered that there was anti-Semitic posts. And he also, for some reason, had photoshopped a number of photos, one of them being with the former President Jacob Zuma. He has admitted that this was a Photoshop, but he is pretending to be someone that owns mines in South Africa. What was also strange about him is that the whole idea behind the Trump administration's political project with these white South African refugees is that they're going there because they discriminated against them because of black economic empowerment. That particular man had a registered BEE company with a BEE partner. So they are there ready, and there's a lot of people saying, but just let them be. But I think it's important from South Africa to make sure that we are totally honest on who you are getting, so that you do understand as Americans who is coming over, and also that you try and pressurize your administration to do proper background checks before they arrive in the US.